name is Jose Fernandez. What I'm about to present to you today is a project that we had, a case study project in dealing with our course in Advanced Methods of Nutrition Assessment. So let's go ahead and get started. I will go ahead and read off each slide just in case it cannot be seen through this camera. But here we have characteristics of the subject, and my subject is a woman. We'll call her Jane Doe. She is white, 30 years old, works at a desk job 40 hours per week, has regular menstrual cycles, has no diseases, and exercises 6 days per week. Those two exercises that she does about 98% of the time are running and also resistance training. Here we have anthropometric measurements. We have a height of 5 foot 4 inches, a weight of 110 pounds, a waist of 24 inches, hip of 34 inches, and waist to hip ratio of 0.71. This ratio places her in a category that is very low, or she is not susceptible to chronic diseases. She has a BMI of 18.9. That places her in the very low end of the healthy category. And finally, she has a 17% body fat, which was calibrated using the sum of the 7 sites. And that 17% body fat places her in the athletic category. Here we have BMR calculation. This is the equation. And right here we have her weight in pounds, 110. Here we have 64 inches, which is her height in inches. And finally we have 30, which is her age in years. Here we're doing the computation, and we come up with a BMR, basal metabolic rate, of 1,303.3 kilocalories. This is a diet recall form that was used. She filled out. Here we have our daily nutrient breakdowns. So after she filled out 3 of those forms, 1 for each day, and breaking down, I have 2 tables here. The first table, macronutrients, carbohydrates, fat, protein, and along this column here we've got Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So on Sunday, she consumed 48% of her meal from carbohydrates, 33% of it from fats, 19% of it from protein. On Monday, she was 61% from carbs, 19% from fat, 20% protein, and on this final Tuesday it was 52% carbs, 30% fat, 18% protein. The second table shows fiber and 2 other micronutrients. So again, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And on Sunday she consumed 22 grams of fiber, 1,530 milligrams of calcium, 17.64 milligrams of iron. On Monday it was 29 grams of fiber, 2210 milligrams of calcium, 23.4 milligrams of iron, and finally on Tuesday she consumed 23 grams of fiber, 1,310 milligrams of calcium, and 22.68 milligrams of iron. This table represents her daily expenditures. So in this column we have the activity. So the activities range from sleeping and naps, shower, dressing, cooking, rinsing, driving, grocery shopping, cleaning, vacuuming, sitting, watching TV, walking, running at a low intensity, running at a high intensity, resistance training, and this is the sum. It says PAR times time. PAR stands for physical activity ratio, and the amount of time she was in it, and then PAL, which is your physical activity level, and that's the number that we're after in this row here. So the blue, so all 3 of these columns represent Sunday, these 3 in the light red, Monday, these 3 in the light green, Tuesday. So physical activity ratio, these are numbers taken from a table that have been well researched, starting from 1, going up to 6.7 and so forth. This is the amount of time she spent in each one of those activities. And when you multiply these 2, you get a physical activity level. And that's done for each one of the days. And finally here, this is the sum of all of these, and then divided by 24 to figure out what our physical activity level is per hour. We need this number to be able to compute our total energy expenditure. So for Sunday, basal metabolic rate, which was 1,303 kilocalories, times whatever the physical activity level was, gave us this number here of 1,799. On Tuesday, she was 1,499, and on Tuesday, she was 1,707. These numbers represent her total energy expenditure for those days. Here we got a 3-day kilocalorie recall. So here I've got the days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, once again. This is the consumption. This is the expenditures, which I just read off to you. So I just put these on a table so we can see whether she has a positive or negative balance in terms of kilocalories per day. So as we see, the difference is the consumption expenditure difference. She was in a positive balance for each one of these days. And on the bottom is the average. So she averaged a positive balance of 515 kilocalories per day. If you add that up for 7 days, that would give her over 3,500 kilocalories per week. And of course, we know that 3,500 kilocalories is equivalent to 1 pound. So in this instant, with these 3 days, our Jane Doe should be gaining at least 1 pound per week. Here we have one of the, this is the workout diary in which she filled out. And here we have activities. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the activity was running on Sunday, Monday was resistance training, Tuesday was running. Sunday is a low intensity run. It's done at rated perceived exertion between 10 to 12. Again, that's low intensity, and she ran on mountain bike trails. On Monday, she did resistance training, which comprised of 3x30 standing military press, 3x30 standing bicep curls, and 3x30 standing bent over tricep extensions. She used an 8-pound dumbbell for these resistance training exercises. And finally, on Tuesday, she had a high intensity session done on the track with a mile warm-up. She did 1x1600, followed by 4x400, followed by 2x200, and they were all done at 18 to 19 RPE. RPE is rate of perceived exertion, so 18 to 19 is very high intensity session for her. She had a recovery of 2 to 4 minutes, that's active jogging or walking, and she had a 3/4 of a mile cool down. Very interesting to note that on this day, this was not the prescribed workout. The prescribed workout was 3x1600 meters. So for some reason, during the workout, she decided to change it up and reduce the amount of volume and the length of time at a certain intensity. So we'll get to that and see why that might have been. This slide deals with, does Jane Doe meet the requirements? What requirements? The nutritional requirements. So here I've got nutrients in this column. In this column I have 2010 American Dietary Guidelines, so it's a yes or no, she met the requirements. This column I have RDAs, DRIs, AIs, or AMDRs. Does she hit those requirements? Yes or no? And finally we have ADA Nutrition for Athletes. Does she hit those requirements? So here I've got carbohydrates, fats, saturated fats, protein, fiber, calcium, iron, and finally water. So 2010 American Dietary Guidelines, she hits everything. I could not find any guidelines for amount of water, so that's how there's an A for the water. So here with RDA, DRIs, AIs, or AMDRs, it's one or the other. And here, on this day here for fiber, yes, she hit it 2 out of the 3 days. That means one of the days she did not hit those requirements. For iron, yes, she hit it 2 out of the 3 days. And iron for a woman at 30 years old is approximately 18 milligrams. So she needs to be consuming 18 milligrams of iron per day. And for water, it's maybe. She does consume quite a bit of water throughout the day, but your adequate intake for water for a 30-year-old woman is 2.7 liters. And she's within the range of 50 to 70 ounces. And 2.7 liters is about 98 ounces there, so she's a little more than half. ADA Nutrition for Athletes, carbohydrates, it's a no. So for 2 out of the 3 days, she did not hit the requirement for carbohydrates for athletes. Coming down to fiber, could not find what the requirement is for athletes for fiber. And then with iron, yes, she's hitting the minimal 18 milligrams, But for athletes, you can increase up to 70% of iron, which puts her up right about 30. Does she hit 30? No, but she's in that range, 20 to 30. So this is also a maybe. We're not sure. Does she have enough iron or not? So why did she reduce the load of that final session on Tuesday, the high intensity session? Well, it could have been carbohydrates, not enough. It could have been a lack of iron, or it could have been a lack of hydration. A nutrition diagnosis. Here's our diagnosis. We have a lack of calories and carbohydrates for endurance athletes, as evidenced by dietary recall and reducing the volume of prescribed workout during the practice session. We also have a lack of hydration status as evidence from dietary recall and the reduction in performance during practice session. And finally, a lack of iron for an endurance athletes, evidenced by diet recall and a feeling of weakness during practice session. So these are the diagnoses based on the recalls and observing. Nutrition intervention. So first problem we're dealing with, not enough carbohydrate intake. So what we're going to do is recommend that she increase carbohydrate intake to 6 grams per kilogram per day to 10 grams of carbohydrates per kilogram of body weight, and spread throughout the day. So don't just eat it all at one meal, spread it out. Consume 200 grams to 300 grams of carbohydrate with protein 3 to 4 hours prior to exercise. And finally, consume 1 gram per kilogram to 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight of carbohydrate and some protein within 30 minutes post-exercise. So we're dealing with throughout the day, giving her kilocalories, just prior to exercise and post-exercise. Nutrition intervention number 2, the problem, lack of fluid intake. Well, drink 5 milliliters per kilogram of body weight to 7 milliliters per kilogram of body weight of water or sport beverage 4 hours prior to exercise. During exercise, drink a 6% to 8% carbohydrate solution of a beverage if that session is going to be 60 minutes or longer. And finally, post-exercise, drink 16 ounces to 24 ounces of fluid for every pound lost during exercise. And our third problem, lack of iron intake. Consume foods high in iron at every meal, and consume vitamin C when eating foods containing non-heme iron. So non-heme iron is iron that comes from your plant products. And finally, our last slide, how do we monitor the situation or the improvement or non-improving? Well, we want to continue keeping that dietary log. We want to check weight before and after workouts. We want to check urine color throughout the day for hydration status. And finally, have her serum ferritin checked. That's probably the only way to figure out if you're consuming enough iron is to look at those ferritin levels. Are they low or are they high? Or are they right on? So if they're low, of course, we need more to consume more iron. Get to those 30 milligrams of iron, or there's an upper tolerable intake of 40 milligrams of iron, but maybe she does not need that. Maybe that's not the problem. But this will tell us if it is the problem or not. This concludes the presentation. If you had questions, I'd be able to field them. But I appreciate you spending time and looking at this case study. Thank you very much.